What is the Matrix?
The Matrix is a system where illusions appear as reality. During this modern era of humanity, where deception is a hallmark, people are no longer able to distinguish facts from fiction.
How does the Matrix work?
By rewarding conformity and consent to manufactured drama, by creating a context where mass attention is focused on false evidence appearing as real, in other words, fear.
Do we have a chance to free our minds?
Yes, by tuning into innerlightradio.com, the healing frequency to awaken your powers of discernment and deactivate the programming of the thought police. Learn about holistic living, history, spiritual concepts, natural health care, economics, metaphysics, and more. For balance and harmony, tune into innerlightradio.com, where your transformation begins 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We are the healing frequency.
Come on and dance and breathe with me, family. Taking that deep breath. Realigning your thoughts. Tuning into yourself. To raise that inner vibration. To support that outer vibration. Taking that deep breath. And feel it circulate through your whole body. As we support that lymphatic system. Greetings and love and kindness, family. I'm Karen Khadijah Davis-Foulks, the one and only Conscious Self Healthcare educator and host of the Conscious Self Healthcare Conversation radio show. Every Wednesday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Community, this is your time to share your wellness stories and how you move from disease care to conscious self-health care. I want to hear your story. We want to hear from you. Join the conversation each Wednesday. Call in and share how you shift out of chronic disease care stress. Right here on innerlightradio.com, the healing frequency. This is Dr. K, and I am looking forward to our conversation. So call in and share. Health is consciousness and healing is a function of consciousness. Come on, family. It's time to rock the world with the new frontier of conscious self-health care, while I share my wellness story with you right here on innerlightradio.com, the healing frequency. The healing frequency. Moving that body. Taking those deep breaths. Dancing. Putting a smile on your face. 7/1/2020. It's a whole new month, the month of July. I was making my way down here on planet Earth this month. So I want to thank you for tuning in today to the Conscious Self-Healthcare Conversation radio show, family. Sit back and relax. We're going to change our platform a little bit for the month of July and August. So I want you to invite your friends to come on in and sit down and take your mask off, take a deep breath and tune into yourself and understand some quantum health and healing to help you move yourself into a better state of why the world is shifting and changing us up. Because it's time for some true thinkonomics. And we can thank my mentor, Reverend Ike, which made me become Reverend Karen Khadijah Davis-Foulks. Thinkonomics is a way of thinking that gives us the opportunity to learn the truth about ourselves. You know that old saying that we always hear, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So a whole bunch of folks have got to be transformed by the renewing of their mind. I had to do it and sometimes still got to do it to upgrade a little bit too. So I am most grateful and thankful to Reverend Ike for his divine teachings that have been a part of my life since I was 8 years old. And that's why I decided to become a minister underneath of his teachings and share with you conscious self-health care. Through positive self-awareness, the individual can change the conditions and circumstances in his or her own life. And we need to hold on to that at this time right now with what's going on in the world. And you know, one of the sayings that I say is going to carry us through this broadcast show today, which we are going to be sharing something special with you. Love is because they vibrate to love too. These two gentlemen are going to speak today. They vibrate to the laws of vibrational energy because we are energy first family. We got to hold on to that and understand that and support the human body by supporting the human body field. Love is the power that brings my entire life together. It heals, renews, restores, and empowers me with divine energy and life. I am love in action. I am a master of positive self-expression. And we are here to be givers and receivers of love. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you, individuals that are here to be givers and receivers of love. Because when we share out, we receive back. So family and community and friends, I want you to sit back, take your deep breaths, tune into yourself, and listen to the words that's being shared with you about one of the gentlemen that just shook up the whole medical industry when he left. So as you tune in today, 7/1/2024 special broadcast conversation with Bruce Lipton and Harry Massey of NES Health Corporation. So could it be time for you to step up out of the dark ages of disease care and shift out of chronic disease care stress? I want to thank you once again for tuning in, sharing this broadcast with a friend. I'm your host, Karen Khadijah Davis-Foulks. Asking you to sit back and take that deep breath, dance and breathe with me. And take off your mask and understand what you are doing to your body, wearing it 24/7, 7 days a week. It's time to show that pretty smile again. It's time to dance, and you may need to relearn, rethink, and rewrite your wellness healthcare plan. So I want you to sit back and listen to this conversation with Bruce Lipton and Harry Massey. I'm telling you, it's going to change your whole understanding. And if you don't get it all, don't worry. It's going to be put up on my YouTube channel. Take out your pen and paper and learn some things and shift out of chronic disease care stress. Thank you for tuning in. Sit back and take your deep breaths. I'll see you next week with a new broadcast, either for me or for someone else out in the community. Peace and love.
Let's help one another. All of my sisters and brothers.
Are you at your wit's end because there seems to be no solution to your healthcare problem? Is it okay for me to say to you that you can have peace of mind? Take back control of your health. Are you experiencing anxiety, arthritis, diabetes, cancer, fibromyalgia, high blood pressure, lupus, chronic fatigue syndrome, any fictitious disease? Whatever your symptoms or diagnosis are, there is a conscious solution to transform the cause of your pain, not treat symptoms or mask it. No prescription medication, no over-the-counter drugs, no organs removed are required. Take back control of your health by the renewing of your mind. You can create wellness today. Contact Dr. K, 202-248-7749. Visit us on the web, www.cell-life.com. Is it time for a new approach to your health care? Are you ready to leave the dark ages of disease care management and pharmaceuticals? If your answer is yes, get ready to relearn, rethink, and rewrite your personal healthcare prescription plan with Dr. K. She is a certified lymphologist and NES healthcare provider, sharing the new science of information as medicine and cellular ecology. Did you know that the field of epigenetics states that you are more than just your genes, and those genes do not control your biology? Yes, that's correct. Schedule a Skype, phone, or office visit with Dr. K and get on board the friendship train to healthcare freedom. 202-248-7749. That's 202-248-7749. Visit us on the web, forcelllife.com. The number 4, the words cell, CELLLIFE.com. Do you feel lost? Do you feel out of sync? Could it be that you are experiencing electromagnetic sensitivity? Yes, electromagnetic sensitivity. Could man-made frequencies interfere with cellular activity and melatonin production? We are beings of frequency, light, and information, and you are your own experience. Do not conform any longer to the patterns of man-made mindset of human consciousness. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Schedule your NES Provision Human Body Field Scan with Dr. K. 202-248-7749. Visit the website forcelllife.com. The number 4, CELLLIFE.com. Have the courage to expand your horizon and reprogram your cellular activities. Call Dr. K for your 15-minute wellness consultation. 202-248-7749.
Welcome to the Energy for Life podcast, where we explore the future of health and wellness to help you enhance your energy, health and purpose. I'm your host, Harry Massey, a pioneer in bioenergetics who's dedicated to looking beyond biochemistry to explore the innate healing power of the human body. So enjoy the show. Well, today's podcast, we have a really special guest. It's with Dr. Bruce Lipton. Now, everyone, or not everyone, but a lot of you will have heard of him. He was originally an eminent cell biologist who, I guess, probably went a bit rogue, if you like, and left the normal university system and became a private researcher and just a major educator in what you could call, the space of cell biology, epigenetics, quantum physics, applications of quantum physics to biology, and also mind-body medicine. I think we've interviewed him 3 times. So without further ado, we'll just get straight into the interview. Yeah, well, I just want to start with a really basic question. So, how are viruses created? Because a lot of people think this. I don't know where they think a virus is created, but I don't think they realise it comes from a cell in the first place. And like, it's not necessarily this huge scary thing. So, could you just describe what a virus is and how it's created?
It's really interesting because a lot of people say that we can kill a virus, and the problem is a virus was never alive, so that's already a problem. The virus is the exact equivalent of a thumb drive or memory stick for a computer. So think of your computer, it's a processing mechanism, but you can take a memory stick, plug it into the computer, and then take information and shove it into the computer, okay? A virus is the equivalent of a memory stick that plugs into the surface of a cell and deposits in it memory that the cell will use. So a virus is changing the program of a cell. Is it alive? I say, no, it's no more alive than a memory stick. It's a capsule with nucleic or some kind of information. It comes up to the surface of the cell and then plugs into the cell. And puts it, downloads. It's a download device. It downloads information that controls the cell. So basically, where do they come from? Cells create viruses as a form of communication. And what people have not recognized, and this is like new to the relative, world of what's going on. There are three ways that a system can communicate to the cells. So like a human being has 50 trillion cells, and you have to coordinate the functions so that they all work together in harmony. I say, well, how do you coordinate? I say, well, the nervous system sends out information for coordination. But then I go, but the nervous system only connects to a small percentage of 50 trillion cells. So I say, well, how else does the system control itself? I say, oh, it releases hormones and growth factors and emotional chemicals in the blood, and then those are sent to all the cells. I say, yeah, that's how you can coordinate this community. But then I say, there were very specific instructions that you can't fool with, and these are two different instructions. One is divide more, create more of your cells. The other one is die and kill some of your cells, because we can regulate the population of different kinds of cells. I said, well, how would you deliver a message as important as live or die, multiply or die? I say, you can't release it to a hormone. That would go everywhere in the system. The nervous system couldn't send that information because it's not connected to a very large population of cells in the first place. It turns out viruses were created in the earliest stages of evolution. Bacteria could talk to each other by physically touching each other, like nerve cells, and sending information from one to the other. Bacteria could also release like hormones or information in, like chemicals into the fluid around them, and the other bacteria will pick up the information. But it had to become very specific. A virus is like a zip-coded information stick, and it only goes to the cells that are coded for on the surface of the virus. So there are what are called receptors on the virus that plug into the receptors on the cell, and the receptors are specific. Which type of cell? If this is a muscle cell and this is a virus going to a skin cell, they don't work. But if this is a skin cell and this is a virus for a skin cell, then they plug in. So the point about a virus is it's not alive. It's a device to carry information to download into another cell, and the cell that is going to download the information to is determined by the surface plugs or receptors on that virus. So the point is, it's the highest form of communication. Now, what's significant is we never talked about that. We always say viruses are very negative things. Viruses are lethal and bad. And I go, it turns out 3% of the DNA in a human body codes for a human body. But 5 to 8% of our DNA codes for viruses. We create our own viruses. Why? Because it's a way of communicating between 50 trillion cells. And as I said, since it's zip-coded, I can send a message from, let's say I'm a liver cell. I can send a message to a breast cell or a muscle cell or anywhere by writing a virus, putting the right zip code on it, and sending it out into the community. Virus is the highest form of specificity in communication. Okay. Now, if the wrong organism picks up the virus from another organism, and that virus dumps information into that wrong cell, it could mislead that cell and destroy it. Okay. So that's when viruses become pathological. They get picked up by the wrong cell, and the information in that virus throws the normal cell out of balance, and then we have a viral problem at that point. Okay. So the issue is this. Viruses are created in our own body. The new term is called exosome. Exosome is the biological word meaning exo, outside, some, body. These are bodies released by cells, like virus particles being released by the cells, go into the blood, and then are distributed to go to their source. We need these viruses. The evolution required them. We didn't even know they existed until recently in humans, when the nature of exosomes was discovered, which by actual definition mean viruses. We create our own viruses. Other organisms create viruses. And when the viruses start getting mixed in community, that's when, if it's the wrong virus that's in your system, and your system picks it up, it will distort your function. Okay?
Perfect. So so for instance, let's say we went into a very smoggy, smoky area and we were inhaling a load of toxins.
Yeah.
Would our chest cells then go, oi, there's a problem here? They start excreting exosomes that can then be caught by someone else. The next person knows there's an environmental problem, and they're automatically getting a signal to sort of upgrade their lungs.
That is the standard conception that if a virus infects my cell, one of the information packages in that virus, one of the information packages is to have that infected cell create more of the viruses, okay? So, and let's understand, why did they call it a cold? And this is a really important fact, is the body temperature is 98.6 centigrade, Fahrenheit, and 37 centigrade, okay? The viruses that are called cold viruses don't grow at that temperature. It's too warm. So I say, well, then where can they infect you? And I say, the respiratory system is bringing in cold air from the outside. So the beginning of the respiratory tract down to the lungs, the air isn't the temperature of the body. It's being warmed to the temperature of the body. So the air in the respiratory tract is colder than the air in the temperature of the rest of the body. So cold viruses infect the respiratory system because the temperature in the wintertime is colder, and as we bring in the cold air, the infected cells in the respiratory tract, the infection will cause them to make lots of viruses. But if it's too warm, then those viruses can't reproduce. And that's why flus, colds show up in the winter, because the air going in the respiratory tract is colder than the body temperature, and the cooler temperature of the cells in the respiratory tract allows these cold viruses to reproduce. And that's why it's a seasonal thing. When the air gets colder, the cells are more likely to be infected by the viruses and be influenced. But in the warm summertime, the temperature of the air and the temperature inside is pretty close to the same. Viruses of that kind don't grow. So what is a cold virus? It's a virus that affects the respiratory system because the air in the respiratory system is cooler than the body temperature, which allows that virus to replicate.
Got you. Would you say literally a virus is an exosome? Like there's really no difference at all.
An exosome, their cells release little blebs of surface. They take like a little blister of a cell will pinch off. And I say, well, that's called an exosome. A body came out. Okay. Now there are different versions of this. The original exosomes were identified to be like waste products from a cell. So a cell has got some extra waste product, pinches it off in a vesicle, releases it, and then macrophages come along and eat that and destroy it. So it's like cleaning up the trash. But when they looked at the number of these exosomes, they found that there was these very small ones, and they didn't contain trash. They contained nucleic acid like DNA and RNA and hormones that control the immune system called cytokines. They said, wait, these aren't trash. These are information packets. And then when you define what that exosome is as an information package, the definition says it's a virus. Okay? So exosomes is a term applied to what came out of our cells. But now we find that a large population of those exosomes are by definition viruses. We are indeed making viruses to coordinate 50 trillion cells in our community.
Perfect. And what's the relationship between a virus and the terrain of the cell? Well,
a virus infects a cell. As I said, just as a memory stick can plug into a computer and download a memory, a virus can plug into a cell, download a new memory, okay? Now, in a normal situation, if the virus infects a cell, the cell has characteristics of an infection that the immune system identifies. So the immune system goes through the body, and if there's a defective cell, the function of the immune system is to remove it, okay? So when a virus-infected cell is in your body, in a healthy immune system, the immune cells will identify that infected cell and eliminate it. Or a precancer cell is like an infected cell as well. The immune system eliminates it. And I say, well, what's the problem? I say, if you have a healthy immune system, no problem. The infected cells will be eliminated, okay? But if your immune system is compromised, you don't have enough surveillance of immune cells to identify these infected cells. So the more your immune system is compromised, the less effective you are of eliminating cells that are virally influenced and going the wrong way. And this becomes important. That's why when we look at like the flu season, they say, okay, people are going to die. And I go, every year people die in a flu. It's not, I'm not saying, oh, too bad. I'm saying I'm sorry, but they die. And I say, who are the ones that die from a regular flu every year? Every year we have a flu and every year people die. Who are the ones that die in a flu? And the answer is those people who are on like life support, end of life period, because their body's functions are not fully working, or people who are health compromised, people that have cancer, cardiovascular problems, people that have diabetes, their immune system is already compromised. So if I'm a healthy person and a virus comes in, my immune system will clean it up and I'll be okay. But if I'm compromised, my immune system isn't working up to the fullest level, then all of a sudden now I have a struggle to eliminate those infected cells because my system isn't working. So the most compromised of the people in the population are the most susceptible to getting sick and dying from a flu, while a normally healthy person would have sniffles or something. Their immune system would handle it and they'll be okay. But the compromised individual is the one who is threatened. So in any flu, every year, there's a compromised population. And the strength of that virus, the effectiveness of that virus determines how much of that compromised population is going to be affected, okay? So a population that is not healthy and collective will have more devastating effect of the same virus than a population that is healthy. Now, in the U.S., we just hit over, 100 million deaths they attribute to the virus. And I say, well, that's a big number. And I say, why? And then here comes a simple answer. 60% of Americans have at least one chronic disease, 60%. And 40% of Americans have two or more chronic diseases. That represents a population that is really ripe for infection because their immune systems are already compromised. So we have a greater population of weakened people in the U.S. than other countries have. So when the virus hits the U.S., there'll be more mortality than in another country, or Britain, where Western countries that have lousy food and and stress levels that are up. And I say, and this is the last point, Harry, that I need to emphasize, in that stress is a mentation that I've got to run, I got to fight or flight. My life is threatened. That's what stress is about. Stress, fight or flight. I say, so what? I say, the blood in the human body contains the energy. If you want to run, you got to put blood into the legs because that's where the energy is coming from. If you want to maintain the body, then this is what the viscera, the lungs, heart, pancreas, all the organs, the function of the gut is maintenance and health of the body, okay? But if you're running away from that proverbial saber-toothed tiger, where do you want the energy? And the answer is arms and legs. So I say, what happens when you're stressed? Stress hormones redirect the blood flow so that it goes to the arms and legs so I can escape the tiger. I say, well, how does it do that? And I go, stress hormones cause the blood vessels in the gut to constrict. Why? If I constrict the blood vessels, then the flow of blood is pushed to the outside. So I say, the first issue of stress in the body is it causes the blood vessels in the gut, which is maintenance and growth of your body. It causes the blood vessels to shut down, no energy going to the gut. So growth and maintenance of the body is on hold while the blood is going to the arms and legs. Now, and this is the part that I was hoping to get to real fast, and that was the immune system uses a lot of energy. I go, yeah. And I go, yeah, if you've ever been sick, you may have not had the energy to even get out of bed. So I say, well, if you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger and you have a bacterial infection, how would you like to distribute the energy? And I go, the hell with a bacterial infection. If the tiger eats you, the bacterial infection is not your problem anymore. So this is the most important point now. Stress hormones not only shut off the blood vessels in the gut to push the blood to the periphery, stress hormones shut down the immune system so that I don't use the energy to take care of the inside. I use the energy to run away from the tiger. So stress hormones inhibit the immune system. The more you're stressed, the less effective your immune system is. The more you're stressed, the more you're open to infection and problems. And I go, and the relevance about that is when you scare people, which is what all the media has been. Oh, we're all going to die. Millions of people are going to die. And everybody's going, they're stressed. And I go, then what happens? I say, the stress hormones run through the body. Then what does it do? Well, it shuts off the growth and maintenance. Yeah, that. And I say, what else? Oh, it shuts off the immune system. Yeah, let me just, a fact. How effective is stress hormones at shutting off the immune system? Medical doctors give patients who are going to receive a transplant, a heart, a lung, whatever, before they put the foreign tissue into that body, they give the recipient stress hormones so that the immune system of the recipient will not immediately reject the foreign organ. So all of a sudden I say, oh, wow, it's so effective at shutting off the immune system, stress hormones, that doctors give it to people to shut off the immune system. So I say, so what does that mean to the population that's watching the news and the media and being scared every day with numbers like millions of people are going to die? And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I could be those millions. Now all of a sudden I'm stressed because I don't want to die. And I go, so what? I say, well, now that I got stressed, guess what? Now I'm weaker. Now I'm more susceptible to the disease, the more stress I'm under. And I go, well, that sounds like a stupid idea that nature would do that. I go, listen, when the system was designed, what were humans stressed by? I go, saber-toothed tiger. What else? Not much more, saber-toothed tiger. I said, so why is it relevant? Because when the system was designed, it was only used to run away from a saber-toothed tiger. And once you got out of the vicinity of that tiger, the stress response was over. So we only use a stress response just a short period of time. Okay? But in today's world, where the stress is economic and health and every other damn thing that's going on, human stress systems are running overtime, 24/7, 365. That means we are continuously shutting down our growth and our immune system because of chronic stress is what causes illness. And an important fact is this: less than 1% of disease is connected to genetics. Over 90% of disease is stress related. And all of a sudden it's like, God, if we could remove the stress, we'd all be healthy people. I go, and now the stress is worse with all the media. We're all going to die. Everyone's stress levels are climbing through the, heights that we never had. I say, why is it relevant? Because everyone who's stressed like that is now open to infection because their immune system has been inhibited.
You know this idea of, you see, you had Pasteur and with the virus and the terrain idea. I'd love to explain that idea of the importance of a healthy cellular terrain and how that actually produces, is responsible for the epigenetic expression, creating exomes, etc.
I think one of the most important things that people have to know, and it's more than just knowing, you have to know it, but you actually have to make it an understanding of your life. I can give you the information, you'll know it, but then the next level is you really have to take this information, it's valid, and put it in your life. I say, what information is that? I say, medicine is based on Newtonian physics. I go, what's that mean? Well, physics is the mechanisms of how the universe works. That's what it stands for, mechanisms. I say, oh, and I say, what's the premise of Newtonian physics? I say, oh, there's a world made out of matter and a realm that was all energy, physical matter, invisible energy. And so Newtonian physics divided the universe into two realms, matter and energy. Then they added the little caveat that whatever's made out of matter can be affected by matter, but not be affected by energy. So that separated energy, threw it out of the picture. You want to understand how a human works? There's matter. It's a physical machine. We'll understand the physical matter, and then we'll understand how the machine works. Conventional pursuit. I go, well, that was great for Newtonian physics, but in 1925, the world of physics was turned upside down because the new physics called quantum physics came in. And I need to emphasize this little caveat right here. Quantum physics is the most valid, tested, affirmed science on this planet. There is no science proven to be more truthful than quantum physics. So if you want to question a science, the last one we're going to question is quantum physics, okay? And I say, yeah, but what's relevant? Quantum physics is a science that reveals that matter is an illusion. You go, what are you talking about, man? I can see you, you can see me, we can touch each other, I'm sitting in a chair, there's books behind me, it's all physical. I go, that's an illusion. And I love it because Einstein's quote is, reality is an illusion, albeit a persistent one. Why is matter an illusion? I say, because what did quantum physics reveal? They looked inside an atom, and that's when we get that little picture of the solar system, the nucleus with protons and neutrons, then surrounding it are electrons like satellites. And we got a picture of a small physical solar system, particles, protons, neutrons, and electrons. Where quantum physics came into reality is when they said, well, so what are those particles made out of? Oh, protons, neutrons, electrons are made out of a smaller particles called quarks. I go, yeah. And then they said, and what's a quark made out of? And that's when the universe of science changed, because when they looked inside a quark, guess what? There was nothing physical in it. A quark is like a nano tornado, a vortex of high energy. And as I say, you mean protons and neutrons are not made out of physical things? I go, no, they're made out of energy. But those are the things that make up the atoms. I go, yeah, the atoms are made out of energy. And I say, yeah, but you're made out of atoms. I go, you're made out of energy. And then all of a sudden, that's the confusing part, because energy is invisible. So how the heck can I see you? And the answer is, the lights are on. If you turn off the lights, boom, you can't see me anymore. Okay. And I say, well, what does that mean? The body is energy. Photons of light are like light particles that hit the energy of the body and are bounced back. So you don't see me. You see a reflection of photons. Underneath that layer of photons, I'm invisible. And it's only when the lights are on that you can see the energy fields, okay? And the significance of that also is, well, then how come I can feel you, touch you? I go, consider a tornado. A tornado is a force field. Can you walk through that force field? Absolutely not. You hit the edge of that force field, it'll throw you up and you get lost. I go, wait a minute. What's a tornado? An energy force. And I say, why is it relevant? And the answer is simply this. You could feel a tornado. It's got pressure and touch. You can feel it. Okay. I say, so why is that relevant? And the answer is it's relevant because a tornado you can feel it. You can't even push through a tornado. I go, so what? I say, all the atoms in your body are nano tornadoes. And if you try to push through your body, you're hitting all those tornadoes. So the illusion of physicality is based on two things. One, light is reflected off. Two, what you feel as physical is you're pushing on billions and trillions of nano tornadoes. You can't push through a tornado. And so we have the illusion of matter. But as physicists said, so what is it made out of? It isn't made out of anything physical. It's energy. So now I'm going to give you, and remember, quantum physics, the most valid science on the planet. Let me give you an Einstein quote. The field, which means the invisible energy surrounding us, the field is the sole governing agency of matter. The invisible fields of energy shape matter. And I say, why is it relevant? Because we think matter is, making matter. And I go, no, it's the invisible energy. A field is shaping matter. That's physics. And I say, well, what kind of fields are there? I go, well, look, I'm sitting in a room right now. Guess what? Cell phone broadcast, television broadcast, radio broadcast, solar energy, all of these things constitute a field. But all of those invisible energies shape what we experience as matter. And so all of a sudden it says you can't ignore the field in understanding life, because life is the expression of the field. And all of a sudden, what we have thrown out since Newtonian physics, we threw out that energy. We don't need to understand it. It's like, no, you have to understand it more than you even thought, because it's that invisible energy you haven't paid attention to that is the sole governing agency of this expression of matter. And so the fields we are in are what shape who we are. And people can feel these fields. It's fields of vibrations. You could say, yeah, there are different kinds of vibrations. In our human system, we can distinguish what are called good vibes from bad vibes. I go, what does that mean? Energy that enhances who we are, good vibes, or energy that suppresses who we are, bad vibes. And that's how we understand how our life is going. Are you in good vibes or are you in bad vibes? And why is it relevant? I don't care about the physical structure you have. It's only the end result of the influence of the energy around us. And then consciousness turns out to be one of the primary energy fields. Our thoughts are shaping us and what we experience. Our thoughts are creating this. And you go, well, what do you mean? It's because quantum physics, most valid science, principle number one, and that is that the field is governing who and what we are. Consciousness is creating our life experiences. That is the principle of quantum physics. I say, why? If you change consciousness, you're changing the field. And therefore, you are generating your own field. And I go, yeah, if I put wires on your head, it's called electroencephalograph. I could read your brain consciousness. But there's a new device, and this is important. It's not electroencephalograph. It's called magnetoencephalograph, MEG, not EEG. I say, why is it relevant? Magnetoencephalograph reads your brain function. I go, yeah, but what's unique? The probe is out here. It doesn't even touch your head. I go, what does that mean? Stop for a second. Your thoughts are not contained in your head. Your brain is attuning for it. It's sending out vibration. Now, you could send out positive vibrations that enhance your life, good vibes, or you could send out negative vibration that will cancel your life. Positive vibrations enhance your energy. Negative vibrations cancel your energy. That's the difference between good vibes and bad vibes. So what field are you in and what field are you generating? This becomes the source of, well, how's your life going? We look at the physical body and it's not working down here. Oh, I got cancer. Oh, this is bad physicality, right? So we're going to cut out the cancer cells and throw them away. And then now I'm better. I got rid of the cancer cells. And then what do? They get the cancer again. And why? The cancer is not the problem. The cancer is a symptom of a problem, a consciousness that is not working in harmony with the body. I say, why is it relevant? I can remove all the cancer cells, but if I don't change the consciousness, the cancer comes back again. Because we look at the cancer cells as a problem. I say, no, they're just responding to the field. We are generating that field. And all of a sudden it says, oh my goodness, and my consciousness is precipitating my illness. And this is why I say only less than 1% of illness is even connected to your genetics. The rest is consciousness and stress. That is what's shaping who we are.
Perfect. Do you see water as something special that's more sort of responsive to field?
What is water? What's unique about water? And the answer is this: water molecules have a positive and negative sides, and positive and negative attract each other. Okay, at room temperature, the water molecules are floating around, but they form loose assemblies. There's actually crystalline water, but you can't see it. And I said, what do you mean? I said, well, the molecules of positive and negatives are all lining up. And when you freeze water, then the positive and negatives line up and it's a solid at that point, the water molecule solid. I say, so what? I said, well, between the water molecules, when they come together, it's called hydrogen bonds. the energy of the negative area of one molecule is attracted to the positive area of the other water molecule. Water has positive and negative, and they start to assemble. Okay. I go, so what, are they physically connected? I say, no, they're energetically connected. I go, so why is that? And I say, if you put something in water that carries information, the water can pick up the energy of that molecule, let's say a drug, and because a drug isn't physical either. You know, you go back, oh, here's the chemical drug. I go, it's not the chemical, it's the energy in that chemistry, quantum physics. And I go, so a molecule is an energy field. And water molecules, when they come together with hydrogen bonds, energy from one is connected to the energy of the other. So one water molecule can pick up an energy field and then through hydrogen bonding connect it to the other water molecule. This is the basis of homeopathy. I put a chemical into the water. The energy of the chemistry is into the water molecules. I keep diluting it out so that the physical particles are gone. But guess what? The energy in the water being connected from one molecule to another is sending energy all around of what? The molecule that doesn't even exist there anymore. It's holding on to the energy of the molecule. So homeopathy is using the energy of a drug, not the drug, but the energy of a drug, because when you dissolve that drug in water, the water picks up the information as energy, and then the water circulates that energy for all the other water molecules as they come together in that positive negative hydrogen bonding effect. So water carries information. Even if the drugs are gone, the energy is still in the water. So now when you get back to your understanding, well, what's the influence of water? I say, what kind of energy field are you in? Because the water is going to pick up that energy. And if it's a negative energy field, then that's not going to really support your life. Why? Energy is life. We are energy beings. When we have energy in our beingness, we have life. If we lose energy in our beingness, we lose life. And that's why organisms are designed to always look for higher energy. Because when you get into a higher energy, you're feeding yourself energy, you got more power. But if you're in a negative place, you're losing energy, and then you're losing your power. So water contains information that it picks up from the field, and it is the water is surrounding every molecule in your body. Every water, proteins are surrounded by water, DNA is surrounded by water, because water is like a sleeve around everything that we think is physical. There's water, so the water is also the carrier of information. And when we ignore that, that's where the problems come in. This is why homeopathy got a bad rap, because drug companies sell drugs. They don't sell energy because they can't. And so if anybody can heal with an energy, what do you think the drug company is going to do? Get rid of them. Why? The drug company is a corporation that makes money. They sell drugs. If you could heal yourself with energy, pharmaceutical company got no money because they can't put energy in a tablet. Okay? They can't sell it to you. And so as a medical scientist and researcher and professor in a medical school, I can tell you there is pressure always from the pharmaceutical industry to eliminate any idea of energy healing in spite of what quantum physics said. And it's simpler because if you can heal with energy, why would you buy the drugs?
Obviously, you're an incredibly independent thinker.
Well, I don't have a government grant that they can take away from me. I'm not at a university that they can say, oh, okay, eliminate him from the university. I did my university stint. People say, oh, well, after you left the university, you're not a scientist anymore. I go, oh, that's a bunch of BS, belief system. For the simple reason is this. A scientist does research all the time when they read research papers and puts all the information together. What? I left the university and then I got stupid? No, I'm free. Why? I don't care what the hell they say. They can call me anything they want. I don't care. Why? Because the science there's a new science here, and it's replacing that limited science of Newtonian physics by introducing energy as the primary shaper of our existence. More energy we have, more life. Less energy we have, less life. Not the molecules.
Because I think I want to get across to people is basically just this idea of why independence of thought is so important. Because unfortunately, millions of people are now being controlled through fear, and because they believe the media and all of that and all of the rest. And ultimately, everything is it's a battle in our consciousness of like whether we're in control and we have our own independence of thought, or whether other people have got control of our thought. And obviously, you're a great example of it. But could you explain why independence of thought is so important, and why people shouldn't just like believe everything they read, etc.
Okay. I think the most important thing people understand is that we've always talked about the nervous system, the brain, as being a computer. It's a computer beyond anything that humans have ever created, okay? There are when you get a new computer, you can go to the store right now and buy a computer, bring it home, you push start, and the thing boots up. Now I say, do something. You go, like what? Draw, write a spreadsheet, write a composition. You go, oh, I don't have any programs. So you buy a new computer, A. B, you put programs in to get started so that now that you got the programs, then you can engage with the computer, okay? A child's brain is a computer. The operating system of that child's brain is complete in the last trimester of pregnancy. Even before the child's born, the brain can boot itself up. And then I say, what? Then programs are put in. I say, what do you mean programs are put in? I say, for a child, for the first 7 years of its life, the vibration of the brain measured by electrical wires, consciousness is a certain frequency and there's levels of consciousness. But below, the next level below consciousness is called theta. Theta is a lower vibration than consciousness. And I say, what is theta? And I say, well, it's characterized as imagination when you're in theta. I go, like what? And I say, children under 7 are in theta as a predominant state. And I say, what? They can mix the real world and the imaginary world seamlessly. A child is having a tea party. They pour nothing into the cup. They drink the nothing and they talk about how wonderful the tea was, or they're riding a broom. But to the child, it's not a broom. Now it's a horse. Theta, imagination. But theta is hypnosis. I said, why have hypnosis? And the answer is this. The child's operating system is booted up. No programs. How do I respond? How do I become a functional member of a family? How do I become a functional member of a community? I say, oh my God, there are rules. Thousands and thousands of rules of behavior. I say, how's an infant going to learn thousands of rules of behavior? And I go, because nature put the brain in theta for 7 years. Theta is hypnosis. So in hypnosis, a child learns behavior by observing other people, mother, father, siblings, community, downloads their behavior operating programs. These are the programs. And the first 7 years, you get programmed with the rules. This is how you behave. This is how you talk. This is what you do. This is what you can't do. Programs. After age 7, a child's brain reaches a higher vibration. Now they're predominantly in a conscious, creative state. I go, okay, so the programs help us get off the ground, and then consciousness can work with the programs. And I go, yes. Now comes, I'm going to come to this. This is so important. It's coming to the point is this. Is that a child can have these programs downloaded, and they can then become conscious at age 7 and consider the body as a vehicle, and you got your hands on the wheel. The conscious mind, creative mind, will drive you toward wishes and desires, okay? And I go, what about the subconscious mind? I say, that's just programs. I go, and these programs didn't even come from you. They came from other people. And I go, so what? And here is the most important fact. If I can give it to you, Harry, the most important fact is this. When consciousness is present, then we are moving our life toward wishes and desires. Creative, that's what consciousness is. What do you want from your life? Answer comes from creative conscious mind. But, biggest but, world change, but. Consciousness can think. I go, what does that mean? I say, thinking is an inside job. I say, Harry, tell me what you're doing next Sunday. And if it's not written in front of you right now, I bet you could sit there and go, oh, on Sunday I'm doing this. I say, where'd you get the answer? It wasn't out here. It was in there. Ready? Thinking redirects consciousness instead of looking out. Thinking redirects consciousness to look in. A thought is on the inside. So when you are having a thought, you're not looking out the window of your eyes. You're looking back in to your brain. Where's that thought coming from? I go and I say, so what? I say, well, let's say you're driving the car and all of a sudden you have a thought. And I guess then what? Consciousness is not looking out the window anymore. Consciousness is inside. I go, does that mean you're going to have an accident? I go, no, guess what? Subconscious is autopilot. When you are thinking, subconscious grabs the wheel. Subconscious knows how to drive because you practice, you learn. Driving is a program. So subconscious can grab the wheel and drive while you're thinking. I go, so what does that mean? When you are thinking, consciousness is not creating your life. Your wishes and desires are not part of your creation. When you are thinking, your programs run your life. I say, yeah, but the programs came from other people. I say, oh, then those people are going to determine the character of your life because when you're thinking, you're just going to play their programs. And I say, what's the relevance? And this is so cool. The idea that the first 7 years of programming will run your life is the fact that 95% of the day a human is thinking. Stop for a minute. 95% of the day consciousness is thinking. I go, well, then 95% of the day, what about your life? Who's controlling? I go, program. That's the autopilot. So you're only running your wishes and desires 5%. 95% is coming from the program. I go, why is it relevant? And then I go, for 400 years, the Jesuits have told their followers, give me a child until it is 7. And I will quote from the Jesuits. I go, for 400 years I've been saying, I said, what does it mean? Give me a child to 7 means if I can program the first 7 years, I will show you the man. I said, what does that mean? I say, because after age 7, 95% of your life is coming from the program. So whatever I program I installed in the first 7 years, 95% of your life is going to be that program, not your wishes and desires, but the programs that you got. And since the vast majority of programs that we downloaded from parents and siblings and community are dysfunctional, disempowering, limiting beliefs, these are the programs that we got. And they operate 95% of the time. Guess what? We are not living our creative character. We're living our program character. And I say, yeah, most of our programs are negative. So I say, if you're going to run all these negative programs, what does the fate of your life look like? I said, it's not looking real good. And so every day we're playing these programs limited by what? Whatever the program said. You can do this. You can't do that. That's a program. You can't do this. You're not good at that. Who do you think you are? These are programs. And they disempower us. I say, oh my God, so life is a struggle. Yep, 95% of the time, we're trying to survive through the programs. Now here comes the beautiful element. What if you stop playing the programs? I go, what do you mean? I say, what if you kept your conscious mind present and didn't think? I said, if we kept your conscious mind present, then your consciousness is driving toward what? Wishes and desires. The Matrix is not science fiction. The Matrix is a documentary. Every human has been programmed. That's required. That is the nature of human development. We're all programmed. I say, but in the Matrix, you could take the red pill and get out of the program. I say, science has recognized a time that the red pill is taken. I said, when? When people fall in love. That's an example. I go, what do you mean? I say, their life every day could be blah, blah, blah. Why? 95% of their life is bad programming, blah, 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 blah. They meet somebody and 24 hours later, they're going, wow, life is beautiful. I'm so in love. The food's great. The music's great. The world is beautiful. Even the lousy job is okay. I go, wait a minute. Your life was blah, blah, blah every day. And then in 24 hours, you have heaven on earth? What happened? Science has recognized an important fact. When people fall in love like that, they stop thinking. They stay present. They stay what is called mindful. I say, what does that mean? Well, if you're not thinking, then you're not playing the program. If you stay mindful, then your creative wishes and desires are going to be running the program. That's how people can come from a blah, blah, blah world and in 24 hours, stop playing the program, start creating with conscious wishes and desires, and what they create, heaven on earth. I say, so what's the issue? I said, well, heaven on earth was here all the time. It was the damn programs that kept us from doing it. Stop playing the program, and health and happiness and joy and everything come into your life. We've been programmed.
How do you stop playing the program?
Well, you stay mindful. That's what happened when you fall in love. You stop. Mindful means, look, you've been looking for, let's say, falling in love. You've been looking for a partner your whole life. They show up. Is this the time to think? I go, no. This is time to be there and enjoy that presence. I say, so what does that mean? You stop thinking. In a Buddhist term, it's staying mindful. I say, well, if you're not thinking, then consciousness is still holding the wheel and it's driving you toward what? Wishes and desires. Okay. And this is called the honeymoon. What is the honeymoon? That most beautiful piece of life. I say, how'd you get that? After a life that sucks every day, you got honeymoon. I say, it is the first time in your life you stop playing programs and start creating fully from your conscious wishes and desires and manifesting them. It's always been there. It's only the programs that have gotten in the way. And everybody's been programmed. So now the idea is, well, here's the hard part for most people. What are my programs? I say, why? Well, I was being programmed, you said, in the last trimester. Okay, I was programmed when I was 0. Harry, do you remember the program you got when you were 0? No. Do you remember the program you got when you were 1? Nah. 2? Nah. And all of a sudden you realize, guess what? You've been programmed. You haven't even no idea what the programs are. I go, then how do I know what the programs are? And the answer is, look at your life. I said, what do you mean? And the answer is simply this. The things that you like that come into your life are there because you have programs to acknowledge those things. But, and there's the big but, those things that you want to create, wishes, desires, aspirations, if you have struggled in trying to obtain your goal, health, relationships, job with money, whatever these things are, if you're having trouble and you have to work hard, stress over it, put a lot of effort into it, sweat over making that wish come true, why are you working so hard? And the answer, and this is the cool part, because the program you got inevitably doesn't support that solution. So you're trying to override a subconscious program that's working 95% of the day by working harder. And it's like, no, that's not the way to do it. The way to do it is to go rewrite the program, and then everything will come to you. And this is what we have to learn at this time. We all have been programmed. Most of these programs are disempowering, self-sabotaging, and limiting beliefs that these operate 95% of the day, and our life is a printout of our programs. And I say, and if you stop playing the programs, the consequence was heaven on earth, the wishes and desires manifest. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, just what quantum physics said. Consciousness is creating our life experiences. If you have negative programs as negative consciousness, then you will manifest that as well. And let me close this discussion with a story I've been telling in lectures for 33 years, the same story. Still looking for another one that might be good as or better, but here's the story. Most of us at some time had a friend, and we were very close to our friend. We knew our friend's behavior very well. And we also know our friend's parent. And one day we see our friend has the same behavior as their parent. So you want to tell your friend, you can't wait. You go, hey, Bill, you're just like your dad. Back away from Bill. The moment you say that, Bill's going to go ballistic. How can you compare me to my dad? I'm nothing like my dad. And people laugh because they've experienced it. I go, that is the most profound story I can tell you at this minute for this reason. Everybody else can see that Bill behaves like his dad. The only one who can't see it is Bill. I say, well, explain that. I go, yeah, easy. He downloaded the behavior of his dad in the first 7 years of his life by observing his father, and through theta, downloading that behavior into subconscious program. I go, yeah, so what? I say, but when, excuse me, when Bill is thinking, he's not creating with his wishes and desires. He is now creating his life with his program, because his consciousness is not looking out. His consciousness is looking in for thoughts. I say, so what does that mean? When Bill is thinking, his conscious mind is redirected to thought, and his life is now controlled by subconscious programs. I go, yeah, so what? I say, he's not looking out when the program is playing. He's thinking. I go, so why is that relevant? I say, Bill doesn't see his own behavior, but everybody else does. I go, but it's not his behavior. What they're seeing is the program that he got from his father. Now, if his father's program is disempowering, then what does it mean? Then Bill is going down the street, having thoughts, playing disempowering programs. And what does Bill, when it comes to conscious recognition, see? His life isn't working the way he wanted it to work. And I go, why is that relevant? And I say, what thought would be in Bill's head now? And the answer is this: I wanted to be successful. I'm not. It must be out there is the problem. I am a victim because I wanted to be successful, and look, I'm not. So other things are inhibiting me. And it's like, no, Bill, when you were thinking that 95% of the day, the programs that you got from your parents sabotage you. You didn't see it. And therefore you feel you had no involvement in the creation that resulted. The fact was, no, you created this with the programs that were playing when you didn't see it. And I go, so why is it relevant? And here it is. We are all Bill. Every one of us is doing that every day. 95% of our life is not coming from wishes and desires. It's coming from the programs, and it's the limiting programs that have disempowered us. And I said, and how do you know that? And I say, because the moment you stop playing the programs, you will manifest heaven on earth, your wishes and desires. We have to stop blaming the world and start recognizing we are the creators. But unfortunately, 95% of the creation's going on without us even seeing what the programs are. Because when we're thinking, we don't observe our own programs. Like, Bill, how can you compare me to my father? I'm nothing like it. I say, only if you could see yourself, would you see that you're like your father? And I say, so where are we now? And the idea is this: you want heaven on earth? Then start recognizing we're not victims of outside forces. We're victims of programming. And if we take that red pill, we get out of the program. And the result of getting out of the program is the honeymoon, heaven on earth.
So I've got a subtlety. It's just a curiosity. So like obviously, I make films, invent stuff. You write books, research, put things together. Obviously I'm doing that, and you're doing that inside your. It's not like we meet. A lot of that's just inside our brain and just thoughts. Is that just a different thing? Or I was just curious how you view that, because that obviously feels like quite an internal thing, putting all these things together in one's head. But because when you said about stop thinking, but there's still a place for thinking, I assume.
Oh, well, thinking is totally necessary, but if you use it 95% of the day, you have to recognize that while you're in thought at that time, you are not controlling the behavior. That's the main thing you have to know. And so, there are times I don't need to control my behavior. I'm here in my office. I have a good time to think. I don't care about my behavior in here,
Okay,
but if I'm out on the street and I'm thinking, then everyone is seeing my program, but they're not seeing me.
No, I was just thinking that there might be this other, because often in life, just the unfolding, like obviously you can also get answers to everything just by being super present. And obviously those people the people you're interacting with tell you all the answers and all that sort of stuff. So
listen, Harry, we're powerful creators that don't know that 95% of our creation is not coming from us. It's coming from a program. And if we understood that, what if you reprogram? And I go, you can reprogram your subconscious when you know what the program is that you want to change. I go, why is it relevant? And I say, and here's the ultimate conclusion is, what if you took the wishes and desires of the conscious mind and program them as programs in the subconscious mind? I go, then guess what? 95% of the day while you're thinking and you're running from your subconscious, you'll be manifesting wishes and desires. And so all of a sudden it says you can have a honeymoon, not for the short period that most people have honeymoons, but for your entire life, every day, if you rewrite the limiting programs. I said, well, how do I know the limiting programs? I go back, I say, your life is a printout. Wherever you're struggling to get to and you have trouble getting to it, that's the limiting program. And if you change that program, the struggle of life disappears. The honeymoon does not have to be a short period. It can be an entire existence on this planet. You could live heaven on earth every day of your life, okay? But you have to reprogram the limiting beliefs that occur when you start thinking. And the honeymoon effect, as I said, was a process at time where you become so engaged in the person that you're with that you stop thinking just to be there with them. And I say, that's what the honeymoon's all about. And I said, why does the honeymoon go away? Because it doesn't last for most people. I say, yeah, but I could stay present for the longest period of time. But there's a point where I have a job, I have chores, I have responsibilities. I go, what happens then? I say, well, I've been on a honeymoon. I stayed present, and I've been living from wishes and desires. And all of a sudden I start thinking about, oh, I got a job to do, and I got to fix this, and I have to do that. And I go, what happens when I start thinking? The behavior that comes out of me is not the honeymoon behavior. It was all those behaviors that were in the subconscious that weren't any good, that didn't play for the honeymoon. My partner never saw my bad programs. Why? I didn't play the programs because I stayed conscious. I stayed mindful. But once I start thinking, then my behavior is not coming from wishes and desires. It's coming from my program. So my partner and I are in a honeymoon. I'm thinking. She comes up and asks me a simple question, but I'm thinking. So guess what? My response is not coming from me, Bruce, wishes and desires. My response is coming from the program. How do I respond? I remember my father's program. I respond like my father to my partner. And that was not a good behavior. I wouldn't want to model my life after my father's behavior like that, but I am. And what does it mean? I'm thinking, she asked me a question. The answer is not coming from my creative wishes and desires. It's now coming from subconscious. She sees my father's behavior, which is negative. And then the typical phrase that results from that interaction is she looks at you and goes, who are you? Where did that come from? And the simple reality is, the first time in your honeymoon period that you start to bring up the negative programs that haven't played, and now your partner is exposed to these negative programs. So that's not the person I fell in love with. That's somebody different. And they have to compromise. And when the compromises come into a honeymoon, the joyous juiciness of that heaven on earth honeymoon flattens out. Now it becomes more like everyday life, and you're playing your stupid programs, and the honeymoon doesn't exist anymore because you're not creating now from your wishes. You're expressing the programs.
Perfect. All right. I'll just ask you one more question. Yeah, well, or maybe two. But what are some of the positives you've experienced personally and to the planet during this period or during this year?
I'll tell you one of the positives right now. And we didn't talk about it. And I want to bring it up right now. And that is, look, I wrote a book called Spontaneous Evolution, which is about the evolution of human civilization. I wrote this book, it's now 12 years ago. And when I wrote that book, it was already a scientific fact that human behavior was precipitating what is called a mass extinction. We've undermined the web of life, and nature is collapsing around us. And the point is simply this: we cannot survive if nature isn't here, because we are nature. We're facing a mass extinction that is due to human behavior. All the events that are happening around the world are symptoms, whether it's religious war, racial strife, health issues unfolding and creating the COVID story and all that. These are symptoms of a civilization that is not in harmony with life. And interestingly enough, how can harmony return to life? And I say, when humans get the heck out of the way, guess what? Life comes back in full health again. So just during the pandemic crisis, when people were isolated in their homes, guess what? The air is cleaner. The animals are coming out. The plants are growing better. Once humans pulled out of the garden has been regrowing itself. So what does it mean? Humans are creating the problem, and when humans got out of the way, life comes right back again. The garden returns. It's a lesson we have to learn. We're the ones that are destroying the civilization. And if we change the behavior and stop destroying Mother Nature, nature will rebuild the garden that we got when we first got here. But ever since then, our human behavior is undermining the garden, destroying the web of life. We're polluting the water. We're polluting the air. We're throwing chemistry in the ground. And it basically says humans are creating their own extinction. But the lockdown all of a sudden gave nature what? A month or so? No humans? Look, we always had chemtrails in the sky. There haven't been chemtrails in the sky around here for 2 months. Why? They stopped all the planes that were creating all that stuff. The air is cleared up. My friends who live in Sacramento for 30 years said they have never seen the sky as blue and as clear as it's been because we have stopped polluting for a moment. So all of a sudden it says, well, what does it mean? It says, before you go back out of this pandemic, lockdown, realize this. If we go back out there and step on it like we've done, extinction is not 1,000 years away. It's decades. And I go, why is it relevant? To avoid extinction, it's not the planet that is the problem. It's us. And so since the lockdown, what did we learn? The planet will do very well without us. In fact, if all humans disappeared, the garden will return almost immediately. It's humans that are destroying this. And so the message is very clear. We want to thrive on this planet. You could have heaven on earth every day of your life on this planet by rewriting the limiting self-sabotaging programs. And most of these programs are through the education system. And unfortunately, most of them are programmed by corporate needs and desires. We're not running our lives. Corporations are creating the rules, the laws, and the things for their benefit, not for our benefit, And basically, people think, oh, the pharmaceutical company's out there to protect me. And I go, hell no, they're out there to make money. And if you interfere with their making money, they get rid of you. Basically what it's all about. And so the lockdown has been very important. People started to learn about community, their family. They haven't talked with them for years because they sit at the dinner table each with their little iPhone looking at their thing while they're eating dinner, and there's no community. Community is where people have power. When people are separated and there's no community, people have lost their power. And in the pandemic, guess what? The whole idea was separate the people, each in their own space, lock them down. And during this period, we have had no power in controlling our life. The forces to be, the pharmaceutical company and the government that is supported by the pharmaceutical company is carrying out their wishes. Are they carrying out our wishes? Absolutely not. And the idea is this was a moment of stop, reflect, think, learn that your family is your basic community, and that when the families of others come together, people start to have power in creating the world that we want. We have been shut down. And during this process, nature without us has been doing really well. And we are also beginning to see the value of our relationships. It's a learning moment. And this is what we need, because this is the learning moment that says, look at that world. You see how healthy it's become without us? When we go back out there, let's be like the indigenous people of this planet that said they were gardeners in the garden, because we have been in that garden destroying it ever since. And this is the wake-up call. We are nature. If we undermine nature, you've undermined human civilization. We are not separate from nature. We are an expression of nature. If we destroy nature, we destroy ourselves, and that's what the extinction that's looming out there is saying. So here's a time out. Everybody time out, look around, get your head together before we go back out there. Let's go back out there and change who we are and who we were to become the caretakers of our planet and of each other. And the result is simple. Heaven on earth. It's always been there. It's just our programs that have taken us out of the story.
Do you see this period as like, I guess in a Greg Braden type philosophy? You know, you've got a choice point. You've got a cycle, and this darkness before the dawn. Like, do you see what we're entering now as this darkness between the dawn, and you've just got this great polarity between, I guess, those that are trying to control and destroy, but because it's becoming so strong, you also get the opposite. Many more people can see it, and at some point it flips over. I was just curious where you are on the extinction.
We're in the process of extinction, but our awareness is what is necessary to get us out of the extinction. This is a timeout for, like, okay, go to your room. Child did something bad. Go to your room. Well, we're in our room. And now let's think about, what did we do and why did we do it, and what's the result of what we're doing? And then I tell you very simply, well, the result of what you're doing is you're manifesting the sixth mass extinction, which will wipe out human civilization before the end of this century. You want to change that? Then we have to change behavior. I'm not asking Mother Nature to change the behavior. She's always been living in harmony. We are the ones that are not living in harmony. This is our choice. When I leave this house, am I going to be better as a citizen, community member? Am I going to be better in my relationship with nature? Or am I going to go out there and throw Roundup on everything and destroy the environment like Monsanto has done? The answer is, this is a choice. It's you who are creating your life experiences. Stop thinking you're a victim because you didn't realize, like Bill, the behavior you're playing is not manifesting wishes and desires, it's manifesting the program, and the programs are disempowering, self-sabotaging, and limiting. And this is how people can control us. If I take away your power, you have no power. It's like Superman. Bad programming is kryptonite. You give kryptonite to Superman, he's not Superman anymore. He's vulnerable as anything. You give a human bad programming, and our creation is not in our support, it's in support of a program. If the program is designed for other people to profit, then you are working for other people without you even knowing it and sabotaging your own wishes and desires in the process. And this is what evolution is all about. A change in consciousness. The evolution we're facing is not the human body is going to change. We already are there. Look, cockroaches have been here how many 100 million years? Did they change? No. They're the best cockroaches that exist. Humans are here. Are we going to change? I say, no. We already got the intelligence that we need. We just have to use it appropriately. This is what we have to understand. And we have to take our power back. And to take our power back is to realize, first, you don't have your power because your subconscious program running 95% of the day has been put in there by other people. You didn't program your subconscious. You weren't even conscious when you were being programmed. Say, why is it relevant? Because you didn't filter the programs coming in saying this is a good program and this is a bad program. You just got all the programs, good, bad, whatever. Consciousness wasn't there. And then we live our lives 95% of the time by the programs that other people gave us, and they took away our power. This is the whole idea. How do you become powerful in this world? The answer is take away everybody else's power, and now you're powerful. And we have been systematically disempowered at the expense of giving up our creativity to corporate entities that want to tell us what to do, when to do, and how to do it. And then we become slaves to a program. And this is a wake-up moment. So let's wake up, man. Do you want this life? Is this what you want?
What do you think I don't know. It's so, obviously, like if you study Gandhi for that time of the British era, it was different for what, Martin Luther King sort of he actually inspired a little bit more rebellion. I think Gandhi knew that the British were much more peaceful. Like, I think he knew the message to the greater world, it had to be this peaceful resistance. I think Martin Luther King, he added a bit more fuel on the fire in America. And we're all so damn obedient as a society. What do you think the answer is for the general population to sort of, to stand up? Is it like peaceful resistance, or is it a bit more? I mean, I was just curious what, like,
I'll give you a
point of view. What's the answer to this?
A famous saying that everybody's heard, and most important saying is this: knowledge is power. We have been deprived systematically of that knowledge. So let me say knowledge is power in another equal way. A lack of knowledge is a lack of power. And we have been programmed with misinformation that I'm a genetic automaton. My life is not under my control. It's under the control of my genes. And I go, that's BS, belief system. Because the truth is, epigenetics reveals that we are controlling our genes. And yet I programmed doctors when I was teaching in a medical school to tell them and their patients that genes are controlling their life. But once I started to do my research and started to reveal that the cells were controlled by the environment, not by the genes, then I realized, well, wait, if the environment is controlling the genes, then I am the one that's manifesting the environment. I'm the one that is controlling my genes. And all of a sudden I said, wait, I'm not a victim of my genes. I say, no, you're a victim of your programming. And if you change your program, change your environment, you can get your power back. So what was the point? When I believed genes control me, I was a victim. Somebody else heal me. But epigenetics says, no, I control my genes. And if I understood how it was controlled, I could do a better job making health. But we are not being programmed with that consciousness. Okay. And as a result, we are still acting as victims. Oh, my health isn't any good. I'm a victim. Give me a doctor to fix me. I go, you're the one that's the healer. It's your consciousness that controls whether you're going to be healthy or whether you're going to die. And the idea is, what does that mean? I said, people don't have that knowledge. They still have the knowledge I am a victim of everything around me. And if I'm a victim, by definition, victim means I'm powerless. By being powerless, as a victim, I will seek other people's opinions, points of view, belief systems over me. I'm just the victim. And the fact is, this is a complete false understanding. When you understand quantum physics and epigenetics, then you understand the truth that physics has always been saying. Consciousness is creating our life experiences. Consciousness is adjusting your genetics. And if you understood that, then you say, yeah, but I control my consciousness. I go, that's the point. But if you believe you're a victim, I say, I have no control. That's what victim says. I've now programmed everybody to be a victim, and then I control them. Oh, I'm the medical people. I'll tell you how it works. And it's like, they got wrong knowledge. Why? I was a professor in a medical school. What I was teaching the medical doctors now is completely false. We program them incorrectly. We program ourselves incorrectly. You want power? Understand knowledge. And Harry, this is why I'm so indebted to you for allowing us to see a knowledge that gives us our power back in our lives. And this is what the whole point of becoming aware is all about. As we become aware, we get the knowledge that will allow us to survive and thrive into the future.
Wake up. Yeah.
Wow, family, that was a great show. I want to thank you so very much for tuning in to the Conscious Self-Health Care Conversation Radio Show right here on Interlight Radio. It was a pleasure having you tuning in. Now, you must tell a friend to tune in. And if you haven't called in and shared your wellness story, don't you think it's time that you help somebody with your wellness story? Call in, share your story, join the conversation. I'm Karen Khadija Davis-Foulks, and I invite you to visit my website, ConsciousSelfCare.com. or you can just go to the number 4, the word CELLLIFE.com. Leave me some information. I would love to talk with you. And once again, I look forward to you joining us next Wednesday right here on the Conscious Self-Healthcare Radio Show. It's a conversation where we uplift each other, where we share our wellness stories so we can help someone move from disease care to conscious self-health care. Thank you for tuning in. I look forward to hearing from you next Wednesday.